Hey guys, the foul weather has passed through. Looks like it's gonna be a calm and sunny weekend, so if you're going freshwater fishing, you might wanna get out early because it's going to be hot. And if you're offshore fishermen, the calm seas are waiting for you. Get ready because we're going fishing here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
We're staying in hot, hot, hot. This is the Texas Insider Fishing Report, and man, Captain Rick, I am so excited to be back, especially because it is June. School's out, wind is down, fishing is on fire. What else am I missing? Oh yeah, it's also this captain's birthday today. Happy birthday.
How about that?
Are you feeling older, a little wiser, a little, hey, look at all those nice photos we have of you up there.
Look what they did for me. Oh, that's so nice. Look, is that lower left-hand corner? I'm looking up at Quentin being scolded.
Yeah?
Because I didn't listen to my captain.
Oh, finally, someone who gets to scold Captain Rick. That's awesome. Well, happy birthday. We're also going to keep the party rolling throughout the show. But first, we want to say hi to a special guest filling in for Dave at the CCA Workbench today, Ray Rocher. Welcome.
Hey there.
You doing the happy birthday dance too?
Yeah, he doesn't look a day over 67.
No, he doesn't. 57.
Miss you,
Almost to
Dave.
heaven. Just kidding. We miss you,
turkey
Dave.
hunting, Betty.
Oh, well, you know what, Rick? You're going to have a brand new partner in crime over there at the CCA Workbench today.
I know, and
It's
you know
gonna be
what?
fun.
We couldn't be in better hands because
No,
Ray
couldn't.
is a guy that really knows, and I can't wait to share him with all our guys in Texas.
Exactly. All right, the Middle Coast region is where we're starting this party off today, and I know while we're celebrating here, Captain Bink Grimes has a lot for y'all to be celebrating out on the water this weekend, don't you, Bink?
We are, and we're celebrating because we love June around here. It's finally here, and our lighter wind showed up this past week, and our summer fishing pattern is in full effect. East Matagorda Bay turned on this week. Lots of big trout were caught and released last week. The CCA Star in Matagorda weighed in at 8.7. There were several 8s weighed in. There were and just lots and lots of 6 to 8 pound trout released. We've been catching them, drifting with live shrimp under popper cork. There's a lot of waders out there throwing top waters and doing really, really well. We hadn't been able to fish East Bay in about 3 weeks due to the stiff winds, and when it calms, man, those fish are always there. We've had some of the best days we can remember during the last 4 days, so it's been really, really good. In Port O'Connor, guide Lynn Smith said he's been hammering those trout on chicken on chain bass assassins. He said the harder the wind is blown, the better the fish that he's caught. Most of the trout's been in the 19 to 20 inch class, but they have caught and released some up to 6 pounds. He said good old red and white paddle tail baits have been really good in the bass assassins and the mirror lures. Many guys in Matagorda, when the wind has blown, have been working West Bay with the high winds. The fish have been in about 4 to 9 foot of water on the edge of the flats where normally we waders try to get, but it gets a little bit too deep on that outside. We've been drifting out there. Those waders, they've been kind of working the edges at about 3.5 foot of water, most with live bait, but bass assassins and sheep pups have worked well here lately. Then the sand and grass potholes around Rockport, they're holding a lot of trout on the incoming tides. Those boaters, they're working outside of trailer idle with croakers and wading with top waters along the St. Joe shoreline. Incoming tides bringing slicks across Mud Island and Super Flat, and those waders are throwing softines and top waters for solid trout. We're looking forward to a good week of incoming tides. We're making plans, to work the flats adjacent to passes and jetties, around Freeport, Matagorda, and Port O'Connor, because our June tides usher in. They're really, really fruitful for trout around those jetty areas. It's been, the surf kind of tempted this last week. It got 2 to 3 foot. We know those fish are there on the beach, but it just didn't allow us to happen. We might get in there this weekend. It's supposed to be halfway calm, so we're kind of happy about that. Photo there, have a photo of that healthy trout caught in East Matagorda Bay. Just one of many, many being caught out there. We'll go to redfish. As always, we're at the mercy of the tides with the reds. There's been a hard outgoing at night. It's prompted reds kind of seek the deeper water on the shorelines. A lot of those guys are saying they're getting a better bite around 10 or 11 after that incoming tide pushes those reds on the sand flat. Redfish, they've been found in Oyster Lake, Crab Lake, Twin Islands, and Shell Islands. It hadn't been a fast and furious bite, but people those redfish are going from point to point. It's kind of like fishing on a school bus. You pick up one, you go to the next stop, you pick up one. Kind of like picking up, kids on the school bus. Be prepared to weed through a lot of undersized throwbacks, but there's a lot of 18 to 19-inch fish out there. Guy Brett Sweeney said he's posted up on the sand flats and he's waiting for the reds to come to him. He's been patiently waiting for the tide to usher in. A lot of those small minnows, all those redfish bellies are full of small minnows in 1 to 2 foot of water. Then in Port O, Wade Pringle Lake with gold spoons and small topwaters, drifting those back lakes with live shrimp and gold spoons will work too. It's been a better afternoon bite after the tide comes in over there as well. And as always, those jetties are full of bull reds from Freeport to Port Aransas. Lots and lots of oversized bulls on the tips of the rocks. But there's also slot-sized reds in the shallower waters near the jetty. We'll go to offshore. Man, our red snapper season opened this past weekend, and it was 2 to 3 foot seas, and anybody that had an offshore boat was out there, and there were tons and tons of really, really quality red snapper caught. 18 to 20 pound red snappers were cheap out there. Just a testament to the fishery. You know, it's hard to believe that only 2 years ago we had a 3-day red snapper season in federal waters, and now in 2019 we've got 94 days left of that snapper season. So most of those captains, you know, they said there's they found the fish 10 to 12 foot. 10 to 12 pounds, but most of them are working in about 40 to 80 foot of water. There's also lots of kingfish out there as well. Our beach water temperature is running about 84 to 85 degrees, pretty hot, and that's kind of why there's some tropical storms, tropical moisture brewing in the Gulf right now. So it's really really hot out there. There's lots of cobia. They're following those red snappers up to the surface. We're pitching little bait to them as they come up, and there's a lot of floating grass in the Gulf as well. You can pick up dolphin and triple tail. A lot of triple tail coming in the bay as well right now. So, you know, it's June. We love June. So many opportunities. East, West, Matagorda, Surf, Freeport, Fort O'Connor. You make the choice. It's a pretty good one.
All right, thank you so much, Bink. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the CCA Texas hotspots. Bink says the trout are good while drifting with live shrimp under a popping cork in 5 feet of water in East Matagorda. Red snapper are excellent and offshore with lots of double digits taken over the wrecks in 45 to 80 feet of water. Brie.
All right, up next is your Captain Carl in the Fish Bites Upper Coast region with enough inshore and offshore report that will keep you partying for days. So, Carl, tell us what we're chasing this weekend.
Hey, guys. What we're chasing is some trout right off. We talked a couple weeks ago about our what we call a tide runner trout that come in from the Gulf. Well, these have finally showed up in the Galveston Bay area, and each year these trout will start their migration in from the Gulf through the passes and through the jetties up into our bays. And we call these new fish tide runners because they ride the tide up from the Gulf and settle into the bays. These new recruits are a different breed of fish. They don't live here year-round. They're much more silver in color, have fewer spots, and fight a lot harder. We need these fish each year to help us restock our bay. Fishing around the channel in the lower parts of the East Bay is going to be your best bet for intercepting these tide runner fish. The reefs in East Bay have gotten some new life on them. Fishing has been really good there also. Mirror Little John and Purple Demon or Chartreuse Glitter rigged on an 1/8 inch to a 1/4 ounce jig head, depending on the current, has been really good. And we have a picture of Little Miss Chloe with a trout.
Oh, that looks great. All right, what else you got for us in shore, bub?
Well, the redfish on the channel in Sabine Pass or the Ship Channel have been really thick. That channel is full of all types of structure. You got rocks, humps, drop-off, discharge areas, inlets. And the redfish are going to just swim up and down looking for bait. You can use crankbait like we use on the jetties, but I like to throw normal tails up down the rocks, and this way you can pinpoint the school once you find them. Around the shallow rock walls, you can throw spinnerbait, some square bill crankbaits, or wake bait. Around these grass shorelines, you can switch over to a 4-ounce bass and shrimp underneath the popping cork. And these baits have been working really well lately, Rick. And here we have a picture of young Mr. Coletti with a nice redfish.
Nice. That is a nice redfish. Obviously, you got that off of the jetty, big stud like that. I see it in the background. All right, what else you got for us offshore, bub?
Well, I hate to beat a dead horse, but red snapper season came in on Saturday, June 1st. And as we all are going to mention, the fish, we've been locating them on our offshore structure like reefs and rock piles. The first few days of the season, the weather was magnificent, which allowed a lot of anglers to get out and target the species. While fishing for these red snapper, if you'd like to target larger fish, try using larger bait and a heavier sinker to get your bait to the bottom faster past the smaller fish that sit up higher in the water column. When you're targeting larger snapper, you should try to use like a whole squid or a whole cigar minnow instead of cutting it up to improve your chances of catching a larger fish. Use your same simple fish finder rig with about 18 inches of mono, 80 pounds, with an 8 to a 12-ounce egg sinker, and a 7 to 8 aught circle hook. Here we have one of the recently caught big red snapper, courtesy of Alaska Charters out of Freeport.
Man, that is a big red snapper. All right, tell me about the grouper fishing, Bubba.
Well, Brie's favorite fish, the Warsaw grouper. When it comes to Warsaw grouper, you're going to want to make sure you use some heavy tackle, guys. Bait of choice for us for Warsaw here is a live hardtail up to about 2 or 3 pounds. We hook it in the back of the head, behind the eyes, with a 10 to a 12 circle hook, and about 6 foot of 300 to 500 pound mono leader. But wherever you're fishing for like yellow edge or scamp, you'll downsize this. Go down to about an 8-aught hook, down to about a 100-pound leader. Use a whole live piggy perch or a whole dead squid for that variety. You should target these fish in 300-plus feet of water since grouper are deep water bottom fish. Right now, we're catching worse up to 100 pounds. Scamps in the 5 to 12-pound range, and we've caught some real nice yellow edge lately in the 20 to 40-pound range.
All right.
And,
go ahead. Tell me about the grouper photo.
This is a picture of Daniel grouper we caught on Saturday.
Man, that's a big one. Thanks for the pictures this week, Carl. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the MirrOlure hotspots from the Upper Coast region. Captain Carl says inshore trout on the south part of the Galveston Bay and some on the reefs of East Bay, drifting with MirrOlure Little Johns and 1/8 to 1/4 ounce jig head, just depending on the current. And then offshore, red snapper on the offshore structures like rock piles and reefs. A simple fish finder rig with about 18 inches of 80-pound mono with a 8 to 12 ounce egg sinker and an 8/0 circle hook using that whole squid and cigar minnow that he talked about in his report.
Absolutely, lots of big fish last weekend, guys. All right, the Upper Fresh region is coming up next here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, Captain Rick's birthday edition. But first, we're headed over to see what Ray has for us at the CCA workbench for rigs and techniques. What are we talking about, Ray?
Deep dropping.
Ooh.
So more snappers, more groupers coming up.
That's going to
deep.
fit really
Sounds
good with Carl's report,
yes,
Ray.
It will.
All
We'll be back, guys. Going.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Casa Vieja Lodge. 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Garmin. Join the club. Sportsman's Adventures. Fishing for adventure. And CCA Texas, a leader in marine conservation.
Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore 4-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 4-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
Are you tired of fighting foul odors in your car? The easy-to-use Auto Odor Eliminator from Starbright uses the power of chlorine dioxide to eliminate even the worst smells. From cigarettes and pets to fast food and sweaty kids, this EPA-registered chlorine dioxide technology fights the odor-causing bacteria, the source of the stink. Don't just cover it up. Eliminate eliminate it with the Auto Odor Eliminator from Starbright.
If you're not a member of Coastal Conservation Association, you need to be. CCA fights on a national and state level for our fishing rights so that our children and grandchildren will have fish to catch today and in the future. CCA, through their habitat programs, create oyster and artificial reefs, as well as many other habitat programs. CCA also each year releases millions of trout, redfish, and flounder, so join myself, Brie, and Dave and become a member of CCA now. Well, we're here at the CCA workbench, and I brought in my good buddy Ray Rocher to take place of Dave while he's on vacation. And, you know, guys, I want you to know Ray is a very accomplished captain, has won many billfish titles throughout the world, obviously in the Bahamas as well as Bermuda and the East Coast. But, you know, Ray, you own a company called R&R Tackle, and you make a lot of really cool stuff. Tonight, I thought it would be really appropriate to talk about deep dropping, and we see that Carl's catching big groupers. So why don't we get into this deep drop rig that you make for R&R? So this is the grouper rig, correct?
Yep. I would say probably the two most important features are commercial grade swivels. You know, we tried the sliding swivels in years past, didn't work as well. This gives you a very secure fixture to that leader. In other words, it doesn't move. And we have swivels on our hooks, which help reduce that stress on the hook as the fish is getting brought up.
All right, so let's break down this deep drop rig. It's, what pound test is this? 400 pound
400,
main?
yeah.
And then this for the fish?
300. This is a heavier grouper rig, but that's where we're at.
Now, twisting, as you said, Ray, certainly changes everything. What size hook do we have here?
That's a 10-0.
How many do we have on this particular rig?
4 hooks on our grouper rig, on our heaviest rig, and then we'll have 5 hooks on some of the smaller ones.
All right, so obviously this is a heavy duty rig. So Ray, what kind of fish are we going to be targeting in Texas, and how deep?
Well, usually in that 350 to 450 depth, vermilion snappers, some Warsaw groupers, move out a little deeper, that 500 to 700 foot depth, more yellow edge groupers, barrelfish, etc. And then in that 1,000 to 1,200 feet is where you'll target tilefish, especially golden tiles.
All right, so what kind of rod and reel we're going to put this on, Ray?
Well, usually it's a shorter than usual solid fiberglass blank, bent butt, variety of reels, Electromate, Crystal, Hooker, Linger and Pittman, of course. And all of these reels will do the job. So it's really a matter of deciding what features do you want in a reel. We use Hooker reels on our boat mainly because we're able to detach that motor and it becomes a hand crank reel. So if somebody wants to fight a fish without the motor, you can go either way.
All right, so would you tip this? You know, what kind of bait would we use in tipping this?
Well, squid's number one. Cigar minnows, hardtails, whole or half. Even strips of bait like barracuda, bonita, you know, anything that hangs onto that hook. And the glow tube is there to hide a little bit of that hardware, but it also is an attractant. A glow tube is much like a glowworm you might put on a jig, so it doesn't hurt.
So what are some of the key points or mistakes that we make when we're doing this? Didn't you tell me when we were rehearsing this, Ray, that this somehow or another gets locked around, but because of the multiple swivels?
Yeah, that helps stop a fish from getting spun off on the way up. You know, it all looks great when it comes out of the package, you know, that spins easy. But under the stress of being retrieved, and remember, sometimes there's multiple fish, so they're pulling in different directions, this branch line can get caught somehow and pinned on that main line, and now you've lost the ability of that swivel to work, and that's where that second swivel helps.
So we're swiveling at the hook, we're swiveling at the swivel, and then the swivel swiveling.
Yeah, we got a lot of swiveling going on.
So Ray, also, we make other sizes. So what else do we have here? This particular rig here is what size?
That one is a 7.0. We have a 5.0, 8.0, so kind of covering the different sizes of fish. Vermilion snappers, 5.0s, and then that 7 and 8.0 would be great for the tile fish, red snappers. And of course the 10.0s for the groupers.
So the smaller ones, how many hooks do they come with?
5.
So they come with 5.
Yeah, 5 chances. Give you 4 more chances.
Oh, I like it. So if guys want to purchase these or they got questions, where can they go to find out more information about R&R?
There's quite a few dealers in Texas. We have a dealer list on our website, rnrtackle.com, and lots of places there in Texas to get these rigs.
All right, guys, you should be able to remember this. Rick and Ray, R&R tackle.
There you go.
Right?
Rick and Ray.
I wish it was partly mine. He's way too smart for me, Bree,
know
but it's
about
time to go to another region.
Rick and Ray, I love it. All right, let's get serious for a minute. CCA Texas has been busy at the state capitol working with lawmakers to pass legislation that will increase fines for commercial oyster fishing violations, protect our public resources, and enhance our fisheries. This new industry coming to Texas will put more oysters in the water and help to relieve some of the harvest pressures on our public oyster reefs. Check out the podcast on oyster aquaculture at ccatexas.org by searching Coastal Advocacy Adventures. All right, good job, CCA. Look out Lake Allen, Henry, Caddo, and Fork because Johnny Geis is giving us all of the insider knowledge for this weekend in the Yeti Upper Fresh region, and it's good. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, Eddie, Rick, and Bree, how are y'all tonight?
We're good.
You got a
Having
frog
a
in your
birthday
throat
in
there,
here.
Johnny?
We've been dodging tornadoes, lightning storms, and flooding all around North Texas, but we can still find some excellent fishing on our area lakes. Just about all species of fish are biting good in early June, and we're catching some of all of them on a single trip. Largemouth bass over in Lake Allen, Henry, man, they're biting there. It's located about 45 miles south of Lubbock, Texas, right at Justinburg. Texas is on the double mountain of the Brazos River. The surface area on Allen Henry is 2,800 acres, and it just rose 5 foot, but it's still one of the few lakes in Texas that's several feet below pool. So the largemouth bass are the most popular species in that reservoir, too. And it's produced a number of lunker-sized fish, 13 pounds or better, and they've been entered in the share lunker program. Allen Henry was stocked with Alabama spotted bass as a reservoir field, and boy, these fish are growing fast, and they can grow over 4 pounds, too. Guide Philip Poole with Gone Fishing Guide Service is reporting excellent bass fishing in the newly flooded bushes, and he said the bass are in the latter stages of the spawn there. Big ones in numbers are being caught daily. He's catching them on top waters early and late. He's using swim jigs, jerk baits, and Carolina rigs midday. The stick baits, Texas rig worms are working also. Philip says Allen Henry's fishing is great and the best shape it's been in 5 years. May was fantastic, and June should be the best month of the year for numbers and size. Now's a good time to contact old Philip at Gone Fishing Guide Service and make a trip out to Allen Henry. Got a couple of pictures on his website there. The pictures of his son, Jared Poole, recently caught his personal best one day at 12:12 a week or so ago, and then the very next day he boated 11:12. So I'd say he has a pretty good trip.
Whew. Great
Hey,
trip.
I'm going to tell you right now, for my birthday next year, I'm going to take the day off, Johnny, and I'm going to come go fishing. I want to catch a fish over 10 pounds.
You can do it.
I
Rick.
never have caught a fish over 10 pounds.
You can do
Hey,
it.
Bass.
Far east side of the region, we got a great lake, Caddo Lake. It's northeast Texas, the border between Texas and Louisiana. Caddo is one of the most unique lakes in the Upper Fresh region. Got a flooded ball cypress trees, covered in Spanish moss, just beautiful. Lake's 26,000 acres, consists of maze of bayous, thickets, and hidden boat roads and trails. It's one of the most beautiful lakes in Texas, as I said, and it's a great venue for kayaks and canoes, too. So if you fish from shore within the state park, you don't even need a license there. The state park has some rustic cabins and camping areas. Johnson Ranch Marina has boat rentals, guide services, and they're out of Uncertain, Texas. Highly recommend a visit to this area and talk to the locals and guides about the current fishing conditions. They got lake tours there also, and a good way to see the hidden treasures Caddo has to offer. Well, while bass fishing and crappie's good on Caddo, the brim fishing can be excellent this time of year. Look for the brim beds of protected coves and breaks in the cypress trees. Sometimes you can see the honeycomb beds on the bottoms, sandy bottoms. Sometimes late afternoon you'll actually see the brim around the surface protecting their beds, chasing away predators. Both bluegills and red ear sunfish bed up in those big colonies, and you can load the critter when you find a hot brim bed. Fish a brim using an old cane pole or bobber. Try a light action spin cast outfit and rig up with a small cork, tie on an 8 to 10 small light wire hook, pinch on a small split shot, and you're ready to fish. Light line 6 to 8 pounds gets the most bites. I like to cut up earthworms into small pieces for bait. Every fish swimming in any lake will eat a worm, and the best part is you usually catch several fish on the same one. Crickets and small crawfish, they're excellent brim baits. And boy, are brim excellent table fare. You can fillet the larger ones or scale them, fry them up whole, and nothing tastes better than a plate full of fried brim, hush puppies, and French fries. So if you're looking for a great getaway weekend, try to visit Caddo Lake. Take a step back in time, let the beauty of this lake sink in. You might also chunk a hollow body frog there and catch a few big bass too while you're there. I got to close out my report this week with another update on those Lake Fork bass I've named Blackie. As you recall last week, we boated that bass 3 different guide trips with one customer catching her 3 times in one day. Well, here's a picture of Blackie. She bit again a couple days ago, and Daniel Michaels caught her again. So we're going to make her a TV star tonight.
Dang,
Love
Johnny,
it.
how many times you caught that bass and how many trips?
5 times, and 4 different customers have caught that fish.
Golly, how much does a bass weigh?
It's about 5 pounds, but boy, we're getting her fatter every time we get her.
Well, when it gets to 10 pounds, I'm gonna come out there and we're gonna catch it, and then I can say I caught her and I caught one over 10 pounds.
I'll save her up for you, Rick. Come see us.
All right, bub, thank you so much. Hey, let's go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Upper Fresh region. Old Johnny said Lake Allen Henry bass fishing is excellent in the new flooded timber. A variety of artificials are catching a lot of big fish. And then Caddo Lake, the water is 77 to 82 degrees, 2.30 feet high. The black bass are fair on Texas rig crawls, buzz baits, and hollow body frogs. And then the crappie are fair on minnows. And then those brim, it's really good on crickets and worms. What do you think, Brie?
I see a mascot job in Miss Blackie's future.
Man,
Don't you?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, that's crazy. All right, anglers, if you're ready to reel in something big this fall, head to fabulous Cabo San Lucas, Mexico to fish the 21st annual Los Cabos Billfish Tournament, October 13th through the 17th. Cabo San Lucas, Mexico hosts some of the most prestigious and richest tournaments in the world, and the Los Cabos Billfish kicks off the tournament season with a $750,000 purse up for grabs. Anglers and crews get to fish in a spectacular setting where the harsh desert meets the marlin-rich waters of the Pacific Ocean and the Sea of Cortez. This 3-day tourney awards a wide variety of prizes and many ways to win, including tuna, dolphin, and wahoo categories. So you don't have to be a master bill fisherman to take home a little bit of cash. You still have plenty of time to sign up and secure your spot and a good boat from the affordable Los Cabos fleet. If you want to fish in one of the most incredible fishing destinations on earth and have a chance to win some money in the process, visit LosCabosTournaments.com and reserve your spot today. That looks like a blast. I want to go. Let's go sign up.
Let's go. We'll get ready to drive a boat over there for us.
All right, sounds good. Well, keeping things exciting here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, we're taking this party and headed south to the Garmin Lower Coast and Proshek's Smokehouse Lower Fresh region next, so stay hooked. And remember to catch up with our crew and everything fishing in Texas. Make sure to visit our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, watch us on YouTube, and check us out on Instagram. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Contender Boats, always in the game. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. CCA Star, fishing fun for giant prizes and scholarships. And Proshek Smokehouse, a link above.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO offshore outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO offshore.
As close as you're gonna get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left. There's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week, we're going to talk about customer service. I've been with PowerPole since 2000, and from a tiny little company to a big corporation, the one thing I can tell you about PowerPole is their customer service has been second to none. I'm on the water 300 days a year. I'm at tackle stores. I'm doing fishing seminars. I'm at boat shows. No matter where I am, folks are coming up to me and they're sharing their wonderful experience they've had either visiting the factory, talking to somebody at the counter, talking to someone on the phone, or through email. And if that's not enough, now you can download the Sea Monster app, which enables you, no matter where you are in the world, to diagnose your power pole with the Sea Monster app, send the info to a service tech at PowerPole, and they're going to have your problem solved for you. And that's today's PowerPole tip of the week.
You know what's cool about that?
What?
When you don't have any ups and downs, you can just go to your app and it'll tell you what's the problem.
That's awesome. You know, customer service makes or breaks a company.
Absolutely.
It really does.
It's just like Forrest Gump.
Okay, good. I'm proud of you. All right, Captain Chad Kinney always has a reason to celebrate in the Garmin Lower Coast region, and that's because the fishing is always on point. Get us on the water, Chad.
I tell you what, weather's getting better, and so is the fishing. It's gotten busted up and got really good. Inshore fishing and trout fishing's really been on fire all along the whole lower coast. I'm going to talk to you here quick about Mansfield and down here we've been fishing, but it's been really good. The live croaker is what they're feeding on right now. 5-aught kill hooks working excellent like that, free lining. And the lures are doing really well too. I just talked to several guys today fishing these west shorelines where these winds calm down and stuff like that. Throw a mirror lure topwater. They've been really hitting them hard on that stuff from the land tip all the way down to the west shorelines. And when you're fishing those drop-offs on some sunken spoils, edge of the ice sheet up or anything else like that, use the saltwater assassins on the shad, 1/8-ounce jig head's been hitting like that. They've been feeding on everything. And that trout green water is showing up with that wind laying down. Those fish still continue mainly to be in the 3 to 5 foot range. The tides are still remaining high, which are pushing all that bait and scatter them around, but they're in those deeper grass beds and stuff like that. That's where we're going to continue to keep on catching those fish. Also, I've been seeing some trout slicks moving around, so keep your eyes out for that. You'll see a slick in the water. It'll smell like watermelon. Just go way up current of it, upwind of it. If you're drift fishing or wade fishing, give it 100 yards or so and kind of move through there, and there's some good fish through there. Got a good picture of the Reynolds Fishing Company here. Got a good trout release on wade fishing there.
Yeah, that's a nice fish, bub.
That's solid. Tell you what, moving to offshore, I'm going to spend the rest of the time on offshore because it's been so nasty down here. We finally get out, and I'm excited about it. So weather's been great. Federal water snapper season's open, of course. State water's open, and get some fresh bait. Find your favorite structure up about 300 feet deep or so. It depends how far you want to crank. I'd go in a little bit closer. Maybe there's some net jobs or stuff like that. Look for suspended fish with your Garmin plotter and your sounder like that. I just got a new Garmin, the 8612, and it's absolutely insane. I played with it today for an hour and a half, and it's marking everything perfect. I'll go more as the season goes on and tell you about the stuff. But these fish, you can mark them in the water column. You'll see them. If you're in 120 foot of water, you're going to see those red dots all start marking through there. They start doing that, just start jigging them or stop your bait about halfway down. You get that the bite going, it's going to go nuts on it. Got a picture of a young man here west of the pier with a nice little snapper there. Didn't take a picture of a huge one, but it's a great snapper for a young kid like that.
Absolutely. Awesome. It looks good to me. What else you got for us offshore?
Yeah, when you're out federal water, fishing like that, there's some other items you can hit and stuff like that. So look for some grouper. I love grouper fishing. You can jig, use some bigger live baits like blue runner and stuff like that. Put some heavier weight on if you're using those deep stuff like 2 to 5 pounds depending on your current there. And go ahead and when you get the grouper bite, you got to feed these things a little bit. You'll feel a little tiny pop and let them feed a little bit like that. They like spitting it out like a big bass like that. So keep tension at all times in this stuff. And usually about a halfway, 3/4 way up, this fish is going to start to get the bends and start floating like that. So don't stop reeling. You're going to start reeling faster. Get the gaff ready. You better have a big Yeti cooler. I got a 350 tonner on my boat. And you get 1 or 2 gaffs in them, and it's excellent eating. And there's some yellow edges and some other stuff mixed in there. But you can see here I got a picture of a really nice Warsaw, Justin Halliday. We had some fun out there on my boat on Bam Bam, and he got one over 100 pounds there.
That's a big one, bub. That is a big one. All right, what's your third offshore species? I'm so excited. We got lots of offshore.
No joke. I was giddy getting out there, so I was searching all around just to get you guys a good report from shallow to deep. So anyways, blue water is kind of still blended. It's moving in. So I left here out of Mansfield, talked to guys out of South Padre Island, and up in Port A. But there was a good rip current at 300 foot deep, which is a good sign for stuff to come, guys. It was right on 300, had a little bit of sorghasm, which I hadn't seen for a while.
We pulled lines for like 20 minutes, had some mirror lures down and stuff like that. And we had 3 wahoo on. There were small little snakes. We lost actually 2 out of the 3, but we were moving on trying to find out what the water's looking everywhere. Anyways, heading out deeper, you put a full spread out with some mid-range lures and get some islanders on there. Definitely rig them up with some good ballyhoo and stuff like that, depending where you're putting them at. And it's real effective on the presentation that way. Of course, make sure you check all your drags and gears and stuff like that. But there's some really good blues. I talked to Wet and Wild out there. They were fishing about 10, 15 miles from me. They went 1 for 2 blue marlin. They had several wahoo on that same rip right there. And they got me a good picture of a nice release of a blue marlin there.
Man, that's a nice one, bub. Hey, good report this week. Thanks for all the pictures, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the lower coast Garmin region. He says inshore trout fishing is excellent in the land cut and the west shoreline towards Port Mansfield. The sunken dumps along the ICW have also been producing very well. And then offshore, the snapper fishing's on fire on the lower coast. Rip lines are forming. So look for those wahoo action. Some billfish have also been showing up along the 100-fathom curve, Brie.
Not a bad offshore report. He was getting. You know how excited he was?
That's a lot of excitement for our boy, Chad.
That's great. All right, let's get to getting in the Project Smokehouse Lower Fresh region because we're fishing Lake Falcon, Somerville, Fayette, Bastrop, Decker, Travis, and Marble Falls. Matt, you've got your work cut out for you, so let's hear it.
Let's do it. I always try to have my work cut out for me. I like to cover as many of them as I can.
Yes, you do.
Let's start out with a largemouth bass. I'm down at Falcon right now, and it's fishing really well. You know, my average day is not massive right now, but I'm catching 25 to 40 fish a day. There are 3 main patterns that are working. That you can start on the upper end and crank the old houses, the old rock piles. They call them foundations, but they're just old rock piles from where the houses crumpled in that were inundated with the water. Use a crankbait that's depth appropriate, a 1.5 square bill on the upper end where they're shallow. And as you work down, those rock piles get a little deeper. Just get you a little deeper diving plug where you can be sure and hit the rocks. It's a great way to catch some good ones right now. Another pattern is there's fish schooling on the shallow rock points. That's mainly from mid-lake to the dam. You can catch those fish on a school bus color or a blue moon color square bill. They'll also bite a fluke or a Texas rig worm up there in that shallow water. The third pattern is the one that's kicking out most of my big fish right now. It's the main lake rock ledges and humps. Catching them throwing a Carolina rig with either a big worm or a fluke on it, and plum or red bug color is the best color for the soft plastics. I also catch you some on a deep diving crankbait and short truce patterns. But that's the best way to catch you a big one is out on that main lake. Somerville, basically, my report at Somerville is basically that there's not anything going on because it's too high. Most ramps are closed. If you want to fish there, you better carry your kayak and launch it from the bank. Fayette County, deep water bite is really good. Most of them are in that 17 to 22 foot range. Big crankbaits that'll reach that. You know, there's a lot of plugs out there that'll run that 20 to 25 foot now. That's what you want to throw. Those are in shad patterns, what's working best. Also, Carolina rig with watermelon shaded plastics is working very well. That's on those main lake ridges. There's also some good fish starting to show up on the rocks in the discharge as well. Lake Bastrop is fishing great. Good success shallow in the mornings on frogs. That's always a great, fun way to watch the visual bite. Then you can follow those fish out as the sun comes up. They gradually move out deeper to the outside edge of the eelgrass. Throw you a light Carolina rig or a weightless soft plastic out on that edge, and that's how we're picking up the biggest fish. Lake Decker, the discharge is running, the plant's running, so there's current. Catching a ton of fish in the discharge in the mornings, mainly using real small swim baits or tiny flukes on a belly-weighted hook. But even a better way to do it is throw that little fluke behind a weighted popping cork so you can get the cast out there. Use the cork as a top water action when you got that little bait behind it, and they'll eat it up. Catching a lot of fish that way and an occasional 5 to 7 pounder. Later in the day, the fish are schooling in the coves around the main lake, and you can use the same bait techniques on those. Also, you can throw a 4 or 5 inch Cinco style bait and catch a bunch of bass as well around the edges of the grass. Lake Travis is fishing really strong, mostly topwater. There's a lot of schooling going on in the mornings on the main lake and around the marinas. Later in the day, you want to throw a soft plastic stick bait and watermelon red around docks and any cover in that 10 to 15 foot range, and that's a way to add a bunch of fish to your creel later in the day. Lake Marble Falls is fishing pretty well right now. The main thing going there is a frog bite. You can throw it around just about any type of shallow cover you can find. You can catch those big ones doing that. Got a picture there of one of my customers with a big old Lake Falcon fish. That's about an 8.5 pounder.
Nice.
Very nice.
All right, what else you got for us, bub?
I got some crappie. Falcon Lake crappie are related to the main lake brush piles. The best depth is 15 to 25. Get you an 8-ounce jig head and with a plastic tail and monkey milk or red with a chartreuse tail. Extremely important to hold that bait just above the fish because the crappie will not go down to bite it. And that's just a picture there of a live well full of good dinner.
All right, thank you so much, man. Great report from the Lower Fresh region. We're going to go ahead and take a look and see what he says for this. Lake Bass Drop is fishing well. Largemouth bass are smashing frogs in the shallows early, and then follow the fish as they move out deeper with the sun. And then light Carolina rigs and weightless plastics in the eelgrass are working well for those guys.
All right, let's stay in the Proshex Lower Fresh region for just another moment. Proshex is teaming up with Texas Insider Fishing Report on a fantastic giveaway. Sign up below and one lucky winner will receive a Hooked on Proshex Grand Slam package valued at $120 to be received just after Father's Day. Shop the online catalog for package details. The winner will be randomly selected and announced on our Facebook page on Monday, June 17th at 10 a.m. Central Time. We'll be notified immediately and the package shipped to the address of choice. Winner will also be announced here on the Texas Insider Fishing Report. What a great gift for Dad, even a day or so late.
Man,
I'm entering. Am I allowed to enter?
Yes,
okay,
of course.
My daddy wants some meat. All right, we've got one more region left to party in when we return on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, and that is the Startron Middle Fresh region. But first, we're seeing what Rick will be taking home for birthday gifts at the CCA Workbench with Ray Rocher. I know you know your products, Ray.
We've got inshore tools, offshore tools, and even if you don't catch any fish,
entertainment tools.
I hope you're sending those home with Ray because he always takes something
maybe
home.
at the end of the day after catching a lot of fish. Yeah.
That's it.
All right, we'll be back. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yeti, built for the wild. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miralure. Building Conservation Trust, CCA's National Habitat Program, and Startron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems.
At the pinnacle of super high output, 4-stroke outboard performance, you'll find Yamaha VMAX SHO. Yamaha's game-changing SHO technology. From exhilarating V6 models to the sleek inline 4s, there's a VMAX SHO for everything from bass to bonefish. It's an extended family of 4-strokes engineered for lightweight, inspiring performance, and rock-solid reliability. Discover VMAX SHO and elevate your expectations.
Oh, there it is. You can either stay busy fishing or get busy catching. From Texas to Tampa Bay or Key West to the Carolinas and beyond. For nearly 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites. Ask for Fish Bites and Fish Bites Fight Club lures by name or visit fishbites.com.
Over 40 years ago, Mr. Proshek began smoking meat in a little Texas town called Hilgi, combining fresh, grade A ingredients to create a variety of legendary smoked meats. Today, Proshek's Smokehouse is a Texas tradition, and now Proshek's not only satisfies hunger in Texas, but across the country. Visit Prosheks.com and order everything from fresh meats to your choice of jerky. Proshek's meats are made by Prosheks, sold by Prosheks, and can be delivered in as little as a day. Proshek's Smokehouse, a link above.
So we're here at the CCA workbench, and as you can see, Dave's out this week, but we've got Ray Rocher. And Ray, you know, new products is something that you certainly know about, the owner of R&R Tackle. And, you know, let's just simply talk about, you know, some of the Wahoo lures that you guys offer and sell. And more importantly, why they're constructed the way they are. A little different than everybody else in the industry.
Well, the lure's standard in some ways. You know, it comes on a 400-pound cable leader, kind of a southern tuna style bend hook. But we rig ours with spacers to put that hook in the back of the lure. Catch ratio seems to be a little bit better. And the head's designed to incorporate both the nylon hair and the vinyl skirt.
Ah, I got you. Now, what do you use the beads for here, Ray?
Just to put the hook in the far back end of that lure and add a little mass. You know, when it goes through the water, that gives you a little bit heavier, thicker profile. You know, if all this gets wet and gets pulled at who knows what speed, 12 knots, 14 knots, you know, it gets pretty skinny. So any mass you can give it gives it a better profile.
All right, so quite often we hook a lot of fish and there's other fish with it.
Yep.
So how do we prevent casualties?
Well, crimp in the middle of the cable.
So what we do is you create a crimp here, so when the fish hooks itself, fish is down here on the hook, but this slides up because you got to keep the boat in gear. You got the fish that you're fighting.
Yep.
But this keeps it from overrunning into the swivel.
Yep.
How'd you get so smart, Ray?
I listen to my mates.
Yeah. So how many different colors does the Wahoo, what's this called, the Wahoo Magnet?
Senior, yep.
Senior. How many different colors do we got here,
7
Bob?
colors, a lot of the popular ones. We have a couple different ones, clear and gray and silver.
That's
you know.
nice, I like that.
You know, got to catch fishermen. I don't know if
I like this Halloween color, you know.
All
right, well, you know, speaking of lures, sticking to that theme, Ray, there's not very often that I'm impressed with stuff that comes out, you know, inshore, because it's been around a long time. 39 years I've been guiding, still guiding, but Bass Assassin just surprised me. This is certainly the Bass Assassin saltwater shad, but what surprised me about it is this new color. It's called clear gold. And Ray, you know that fish really focus in on silhouettes.
Yep.
This looks like a minnow, but here's what I want to do, and I don't know how if we can capture. So I'm going to raise this up. Keep following me. Keep following me. Keep following me. Keep following me. Keep following. Follow, follow, follow. As we get more into the light, look how it starts to become more translucent.
Clear, yeah.
Think about how a shrimp a lot of times looks clear. And the reason why I like this is because I think it looks a lot more like something that they're biting, specifically in the stained water. The gold really stands out. All right, well, we did talk about wahoos and the teeth and kingfish. Let's talk a little bit about the de-hooker.
De-hooker is a really important tool, whether you're fishing inshore, offshore. One of the most important things is to realize that a de-hooker does nothing more than allow you to turn the hook upside down.
Right.
That's number one primary use. The best thing for the fish is not being handled, right? You're going to release a dolphin that's undersized.
Right.
If he's even close, we just take a wrap on the leader, get the hook upside down, shake them off. Their chance of survival is better.
Angles everything. You got a flat spot so that you can always keep your thumb on there.
Yeah, you don't even have to look.
So Ray, let me ask you, what about this part? We have a part here. What is that about?
That's if a fish is hooked deep.
So he's hooked deep, so you just grab the leader, pin it up against there, and now you can push and twist and now pull it out.
Yep.
Ray, smart Ray.
Well,
all right, well, you know what? Speaking of smart, these guys at Docktail Bar, they have outdone themselves.
That's amazing.
Ray, I really like this. I let Colin take it over Memorial Day weekend. What's so cool about this is that you have a place for your bottle, for your knife, for around Captain Morgan bottle, 2-liter bottles fit in here, your cups. They also make several different inserts so that as your sizes change, you can also change so that, you know, it doesn't fall over. It also has the ability to mount it in several different places, as you can see here. So not all boats are the same.
Yep.
So they've created a hole pattern which allows you to mount it in different places. And as you can tell, this is the Magna mount that you can simply use in your any rod holder. You get it in the position that you want, and then you can just simply lock it down.
Pretty cool.
Very, very impressed with this product. It's made out of starboard, so it gets easily washed. I didn't clean it up because I wanted to show everybody that I use it.
Yep.
So my limes, I'm getting ready for my birthday drink. If you guys want any more information, you can go to doctailbar.com.
Yep.
All right.
Excellent.
Good job, or rnrtackle.com. And Bree, we got one more region to go.
I do. I heard the birthday word. You already taking that home. What are you taking home that Ray brought?
Everything. All of this.
Everything. All of the things.
Happy
All
birthday
right,
to
let's
me.
chat with Matt Loescher in the Star Middle Fresh region here just how good Toledo Bend, Sam Rayburn, and Richland Chambers are for the weekend. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Bree. Yeah, it's really starting to feel like summertime over here in the Middle Fresh region. The wind has finally quit blowing for the most part, and it's allowing us to get out here on these big reservoirs and do a lot of catching. It's been good. I'm going to start out this week talking about largemouth bass. First off, on Sam Rayburn, those fish are still on a rampage over there. It's crazy. They're just biting like mad. The water's still high. In fact, recent rains have had that lake on the rise again, and it's currently about 6 foot over pool level. And when the water raises like that, a lot of these fish just run to the bushes. I've gotten really good reports lately. A lot of guys are catching large numbers of fish around the bushes on soft plastic creature baits. Watermelon candy red has been the best color for that. You can rig that on a light shaky head or a light Texas rig, something like about an 1/8 ounce, and just pitch it in and around those bushes, and you should catch them pretty good. And then over on Toledo Bend, the water's starting to slowly come down and it's receding a little bit. And because of that, the current that's being pulled through the lake is a little less. However, there's still enough water movement to keep these fish positioned on feeding spots like points and flat ridges in about 10 to 20 foot. And fish are biting a lot of different baits right now, but crankbait's still my favorite because these fish are aggressively feeding and you can cover a lot of water with that bait. You can pull up to a spot, get the fish fired up, catch a few fast, and move on to the next one. Just repeat that process on all these different spots where the current's running. This is mostly a main lake deal, but the creeks are starting to clear up a little bit finally, and so some of those areas further away from the main river are going to be coming back into play this week as well. Just keep in mind that the further up the creeks you go, the shallower the fish will stay. So instead of a deep diving crankbait, you may need to throw like a medium or even a shallow diver. And then up on Richland Chambers, Mr. Selman with Bass Specialty Guide Service is still catching the bass up there shallow from the bank out to about 10 foot of water. The water's stained up there. It's about 2 foot high, and the bass have been holding around flooded grass and brush. Sinking worms, rigged wacky style, spinner baits, and topwater baits have all been producing a lot of fish lately, especially early in the day. But later in the day, the deeper brush around 10 foot has been the best. And then on the crappie fishing this week, down at Toledo Bend, the water's, it's falling. It's beginning to pull them out back away from the bank where I like them. 15 to 30 foot on offshore structure is where you'll want to look for them during the day. But at night, you can still catch them pretty good around lighted docks and bridge pilings as well. The past few days, live minnows have been working best for catching these, but I'm still catching some on jigs as well, so kind of play with that day to day. And I've got a photo here for you. Show some nice slabs we've been catching. Got a good group there. We had a good time that day. The little man there in the middle caught a lot of those big fish, but he didn't want to touch one, so he's not real happy for the picture.
It's okay,
Well,
little buddy.
way to break them in there, bub. All right, let's talk a little bit about some yellow bass.
All right, so the yellow bass, or barfish as we like to call them, have really been biting well on Toledo Bend also. We've been catching a lot of those on top of flat points in about 10 to 20 foot of water. You can find these on your electronics by scanning in that depth range, and I want to give you a tip for kind of honing in on them specifically. They normally group up in kind of a circular shaped school, sort of like a shad would, but obviously bigger marks on your sonar. So just look for that on your graph and drop a live minnow down near the bottom to catch them. These fish don't get very big, but in my opinion, they're great to eat, probably as good as crappie, and they're plentiful. So if a fish fry is what you're after, then get out there and look for some of those this weekend.
All right, thank you so much, Matt. Great report from the Middle Fresh region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots. Matt says that the largemouth bass on Sam Rayburn are biting caught on creature baits shallow, and on Toledo Bend, they're offshore biting crankbaits, and on Richland Chambers, They are also near the bank biting wacky worms, and crappie on Toledo Bend are biting minnows in 15 to 30 feet of water. Yellow bass are biting in 10 to 20 feet of water. I had a guy send me an email telling me it's Richland Chambers instead of Richard.
Oh, well, you know.
I'm sorry,
It's
Richard.
okay.
I see it so.
It's your birthday.
It's just
You're
like
a year
Richard.
older. We forget things. And guess what? We have a cake for you. Happy birthday. Make a wish.
Man, those are little
Happy
short. Those are
birthday.
Irish candles, little short
I blow
ones.
them out. Come on, let's do this.
They ain't gonna blow out there. Those are non kind of blowout.
No, they're
kind.
not.
This, B.
Come on, do it. You can do it. You can do this.
I'm gonna spit on them.
I can see it through the smoke.
That's so wrong.
It's so
Look at how they
right.
did.
It's so right. You
They
can
did it
You've
bad.
had so many
They
birthdays to
did.
practice.
Look,
Try again.
That one's been out for 5 minutes.
Try
and it
again.
Just
Just
came
try
back.
again.
Bree,
All right, fine. What are
help
you doing
me.
for your
You
birthday?
help me. You're
Okay.
better at this than me.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, go.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, look. Oh. Okay, I'm getting
Don't
this.
get
What are
your
we
hair.
doing for your birthday?
What are we doing?
Yes,
We're
while
going
I try to
to
process
San
that.
Sal marlin fishing.
Oh my goodness.
With
Well,
Ridge and
that's a
Colin
birthday
and
to
Kathy. Look,
celebrate.
they come back, Bree.
I got you.
Those are like bad.
All right, happy birthday.
It's like
Love
gray
you.
hair. It
Ray,
keep
thanks
coming
for being
back.
here. We'll see you guys
Thank
next
you.
week. Have a good weekend.
Good job, Rick.